All right, let's do maybe. How many more do we have waiting right now, Daniel? I know you do them in like block.
We got like one or two more.
All right, let's do one in a bit. If it's quick, we'll do a second.
Okay.
Otherwise, I mean, because we're over 2 hours anyway.
Yeah, no, it's getting late. Family time takes priority.
Precisely.
What's up, Keith?
Keith,
Oh, great
hello.
show tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Keith.
What's up? What do you got for us?
Just a second, I got to mute the actual show here. There now it's much better.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, great show. I really love that special guest, talking about the Amazon strike. And I've got a part-time job and yeah, you're treated like a machine. And it's really been a good show to kind of echo, about everything that's going on.
Mhm.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, yeah, great talk. About being treated like a machine, and if Amazon and Bezos could just have a department, called employee welfare and give a shit, maybe things could be different. But we know better. This is exploitation. This is the continual struggle of the dictator of the proletariat not making decisions and letting other people take advantage of them. So anyway, great show.
Thank you so much for the kind words, Keith.
Yeah. And myself, I've been reading Capital, to echo your earlier discussion about like what books to read and everything. When you start encountering the false gods of Marxism, it's really nice to just pick up the old guy and read about him bitching.
Couldn't agree more, brother. Capital. Lenin once said that it was what's the wording he used? I think the perfect exposition of dialectical materialism. And this is interesting because people often read Capital as like a sort of empirical study of capitalism, and you see all the like frauds and all of the people who sort of know a tiny bit but act like they know a lot. I'm thinking of Hassan Piker right now. They explain Marx and Capital as a guy who criticized capitalism, but Capital is so much more than that. It is a perfect, like Lenin said, exposition of the materialist dialectic. He literally is walking you through the steps of how to think scientifically about things by doing it rather than just telling you. And I think that's brilliant. What's your opinion on Capital, John, and just its relative importance?
I mean, it's critical to just understanding understanding Marx, understanding the nature and logic of capitalism. It's so critical, and it still has tremendous explanatory power today. And I think Capital Volume 3 is really interesting. Marx actually didn't complete Capital Volume 3, and Engels had to fill in a number of pieces. But just kind of understanding this dynamic and how capitalism develops, it's very critical. And then you realize kind of what I was saying earlier, and I was using terminology that Marx wasn't using when I was talking about how we have a socialist economy that is socialism for profit. But you see like in capital in its totality, and I'm trying to just figure out the best way to sum this up, that the real barrier of capitalist production, all of the efficiency that it creates, becomes capital itself. And so it's this, it's not this like kind of dogmatic or narrow view that capitalism is this particular system, but as Noah said before, it's dialectics. It reveals a system of development of capitalism and how it creates its own contradictions that are necessitated to be overcome by socialism, by a true socialism, people's socialism, and a dictatorship of the proletariat, as our caller said. Yeah, I mean, it's tremendous. It's extremely dense, and it requires, a lot of study and close attention to really kind of glean some of these fundamental concepts. But
it does. Look, I think, and here's the thing: I've been going back and forth with the class on capital. It's really, really dense and profound. I I wish I had the money to just take a year off of work, right? And just get a class together and just go through everything, because it would be great. Unfortunately, I have a family to support.
Yeah.
So we can't do it. But Keith, thank you so much for your call. We hope you
Thank
have a
you.
Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you next time, brother.
And
Will
I just
do.
wanted
Will do.
to
Hang in there.
thank you, Keith. And just so like one more note on Keith, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. It's like one of the things that we run into from our detractors, particularly people who describe themselves as capitalists, is that, oh, you know, communism is this old and outdated system, and we need a dynamic system that innovates, and we need to capture people's imaginations about the future, all this stuff. But it's really socialism. It's really this idea of communism that will do that, because we need to reveal to people that the fact that these corporations, these massive monopolies and financial institutions chase profit as their final and fundamental incentive is actually a barrier to the development of production, you know, to achieving this next stage of human civilization and productive relationships that actually are what the good and virtuous futures, you know, future conceptions of humanity look like, that aren't dystopian and just totally immiserated and tyrannical. Like that, socialism can provide us that. People need to understand that.